Biggest risk, human or hackers?
Humans who are bad hackers.
Twisted one. Good one. I like it. One law India still needs in cyber.
Misappropriation by AI law. The incident which perturbed me a lot is recently in one of the hospital, their CCTV footage has got leaked.
Oh.
The malicious actors had gained the access to the sensitive images which shouldn't have got exposed.
Compliance in one word.
Serious effort
Serious effort by whom?
by the compliance team.
Compliance team. Hi Jayant, good morning and welcome to the podcast. I'm glad you could make it today to the studios. Looking forward to have a wonderful conversation with you and understand your insights, your journey as a leader.
Hi Rohan, thanks for inviting me for this session. Let me give my best to the data privacy community with whatever insights or experience on the field I have gained so far.
So to begin, if you had to describe your role in one line, not as a cybersecurity expert, but as a guardian of digital trust, what would you like to say?
As a guardian of digital trust and working in the information security domain, it gives a lot of responsibility, accountability. It always keeps you on toes as a deep researcher because you always have to research to what emerging things are there.
Interesting. Yeah. I think that's one point in today's days. We by default need to be a researcher.
True, you cannot step into tomorrow by having a yesterday's knowledge. So that's where your skills needs to be continuously enhanced and sharpened.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. And being a guardian of digital trust is too much of accountability. I think looking in future is something as you said, right? Uh, Researching and looking in future, these two things will shape your skills and it will build you as a better expert there. Interesting. But then let's talk about DPDPA in focus. Do you see data as an asset, likened to monetize it, or it is a right to protect?
I see it's beneficial from both the angles. Primarily, it is a right to protect customer personal data. I mean, the rights for the data principles. On the other hand, if the personal data of the customers is rightfully, wisely, and securely utilized by privacy enhancing techniques. I mean, by a technique which uh, does not reveal the exact identity of the the data set which is taken from the user. So in that case, if such data is being uh, put up for research, so in for research, uh, you know, it will help to work upon the real data rather than the dummy data.
A very good takeaway. I think what you said is basically the right to protect needs to be there. That's the base principle when you hold the data. And if you at all you need to monetize it, it's okay for business to monetize, while the consideration should be that it should be wisely protected, it should be secured enough, and should have privacy enhancing techniques,
Applied
functions,
to it,
and applied
yes.
to it. So, in this way, I think we are assuring not just the business but also the end users who are the actual data owners.
And we are helping the researchers with the
And yeah,
real
yes,
data
yes, and the
and not the
researchers
dummy data.
with the real data, which probably will help them with better understanding. Oh,
True.
very interesting. So on these lines, let's kind of move uh, a bit a different lens. Uh, I would like to understand from your perspective as a risk practitioner, what does the new era of privacy for India mean to you?
In next 5 years, things are definitely going to change
Mm-hmm.
drastically. Today, the after the act has got enacted, the organizations they have started the readiness exercise. With this, the privacy culture is getting instilled, imbibed amongst the community. At the same time, I can see that in next 5 years, unlike what today, I mean, when a customer approach, say any institution for a account opening or for registration, filling up any form, so he uh, is being asked for so many documents, and without any uh, any second thought, he simply hands over the documents, whatever is being asked. With the aspects of data minimization and privacy awareness, I think we are enabling the customer to ask why you need so much of the data. So take only that data which is needed for this purpose or which will have a legitimate purpose. So this all questions or this all activity or awareness is going to be seen.
So it is the era of awareness in terms of privacy. I think, as you said, in 5 years we would all be aware of our privacy.
I wouldn't say we all,
Okay.
because today
Maximum population.
cyber security has we talk about cyber resiliency in cyber security, but uh, still we can I mean the cyber frauds of kinds of a digital arrest or OTP giving, they are still imminent, and that shows that the cybersecurity culture is matured enough within the organizations, institutions, but then it has not reached to the masses to that extent. That maturity still needs to be there. Yes, but then uh, with the data privacy exercise, it is evident that in next 5 years, at least this will not be a new animal.
So I like to take a different step now. I want to understand your origin story. Uh, what led you to specialize? Uh, because you've been there in the industry, you are a cybersecurity expert, but now you yourself are applying privacy and also privacy law. So this intersection, right, is very interesting. Being a cybersecurity expert and also working on privacy law. What led you to this?
So I've been working for 18-20 years in cybersecurity area. When last GDPR came up, because I had done my law, so GDPR came as a law. It came as an act. So I've just gone through it and realized that so many things are being done in the West for the data privacy. So that definitely gained my interest towards that area. And
Okay.
then I saw that in India also, in various industries, they started talking about the data privacy.
Uh-huh.
So this is where I thought that my next action will be, because working into the in data security, and then presently doing the third party risk assessments, understanding how the data flows, what are the purposes for which the data is being given, and then how it is retained, what are the controls applied to it, then having altogether the mix of the hybrid of law, technology, and audits, the controls on it, and then side by side, uh, our law DPDP has also got enacted. So this story actually made me to look and focus study a lot into the privacy area.
Oh, it's very interesting, Jayant. Matlab, I've been knowing you for almost 10, 20 plus years, and uh, you have been a practitioner for cybersecurity. But what insights which you said now, what led you to move to the other side of the table, right? And your lens towards learning, growing, and I think somewhere you are waiting for something to change in India, and the DPDP has brought that change. Uh, that intersection, very interesting to hear this. I think uh, what I would also love here is, uh, I think when you began security, right? Uh, that time security meant firewalls, it meant antivirus. But then your journey, when we see, so what made you see that uh, governance and law were equally critical?
Yes, tools have definitely emerged from antivirus, firewalls to what we have today. And there is a long laundry list of tools uh, for safeguarding, our fortresses. But then with tools, things cannot be assured. As we are aware that people, process, and technology, we always been talking about this. So without the people, the skilled people, the tools cannot be configured or utilized to the extent. And process is what gives the flavor of the governance to it. So technology is there in the form of the tools, but s- how to use that technology, whether it is efficiently used or whether it is being uh, periodically, rightfully used as per the policies. So that all is given in the form of the that all can come only when there is a proper governance. So and in order to support the governance, law plays a very critical role, because without the penalty there won't be a deterrence effect, right? And then there won't be a compulsion, or the compliance teams will not be supported to that extent by the other team members. So in this whole journey, as you rightly mentioned, 15, 20 years back, when cybersecurity was like an antiviruses and firewalls, uh, to the extent that today we talk about the cyber resiliency, the discipline which is brought in, or the culture of secure, or all the culture of the security is being disciplined by the governance process. And for that, if law is there, then definitely it creates the boundary for it.
Isn't if you could share a moment or an incident which always lets you remember that data privacy or protection is forever important.
The incident which perturbed me a lot is recently in one of the hospital, their CCTV footage has got leaked.
Oh.
And incidentally, the malicious actors
Hmm.
had gained the access to the sensitive images, which shouldn't have got exposed.
Oh man. Oh
So
man, that's
that
too
is
too bad.
where such law is needed, where the strict action is to be taken.
Sensitive information that's critical, confidential, and this is super private, kind of the topmost private label which you could give it to this, and that being leaked out, man, it would been. But thanks for reminding. I think we all should kind of have a good takeaway from this, that please do not treat data so simply, at least when it is in some areas of hospitals or manufacturing or pharma. Everybody carries huge amount of data, and kind of please tag it so that it is appropriately handled.
Yes. So today, if you see the CCTVs are put up for law and order situation, which is a legitimate purpose. But then, wherever they are used, wherever they are put up, it should be put up with uh, proper secure measures. Otherwise, these kind of cases bound to happen. We deploy the CCTVs in societies,
Hmm.
on the roads, in the malls,
Yes.
right? In the
Yeah.
college
Across almost
institutions.
everywhere we
Yes,
see now.
everywhere it is very it is required. But however, you know, it should be deployed with proper secured, measured configuration and legitimate purpose.
So this next segment basically is a segment where would like to hear from you uh, for the wider audience in a very layman terms concept of privacy.
The privacy concept largely it revolves around the customer personal data or the personal data of the data principal. So it starts with whenever a personal data needs to be given to any organization. First, the consent needs to be provided. Now, when the organization is collecting this data, they should have a legitimate purpose of seeking that data. That data should be collected only for that purpose, only till what period it is required, and later on, they have the responsibility of purging that data. They cannot simply take a consent for opening an account and later they share it with the other third parties for marketing, research, or any other purpose. So they cannot consider that simply by seeking I agree to whatever 15 consents which they mention. Here the customer is empowered, the data principal is empowered by choosing that what all things he agree to give the permissions or consent for using his or her data.
Okay, so when you say, I think the user has the fundamental right to decide this and it
True,
should be given to them. So the act has provided this to the user.
true.
But then there would always be this kind of a debate, right? A legal might say, no, you could not share this data. It's violating a lot of these. It has all of red marks which the legal side would give you. But business says, no, this is my priority. Without this, I cannot do something. How do you see these conversations being moved across boards or across meetings?
If we see DPDP, it's an act.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a process.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a policy. So act evolves out of a law, and law defines the limit or dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
If the legal team member feels that this data should not be given or used in this manner, so then he has to give the options that how it can be wisely used in which can support the
Support
business.
the business. Okay. Okay.
But then law supersedes to the business decisions.
So for those who are new, um, what is the primary objective of DPDP Act?
The primary objective is to protect the rights of the data principals.
And here the data principles would be like an example.
So the data principals are the ones who provides the data to the data fiduciaries. So the data principals can be a customer going for registration, account opening, or a patient going to the hospital, or he can be an employee of an organization, or he can be uh, simply uh, a customer walking into a mall and giving the data to the uh, various multi specialty stores, or he can be a student who is going to the college or institution.
Okay. So I think the entire population who where I think as I understand you, the entire population of people who have their own data points, name, age, telephone number, email address, and who are sharing this for a certain purpose. Either they have been asked to share or it can be optional. So I think these are all data principles. I will just take it to a very different note here. It's all about humans. I think when we talk of data, data is generated by people as humans. But then there has always been a challenge of awareness. So why do you see that awareness is the real key for both the data principles, those are consumers, as you said, and the data fiduciaries, those are the organizations?
So awareness is a key. Uh, as as we know, the various stakeholders or the personas which are involved into the data privacy domain, be it data principals, data fiduciaries, significant data fiduciaries, or the data processors who work on behalf of the data fiduciaries. For
Okay.
all of them, awareness is a key. So if we talk about the data principles, the data principal, as a data principal, he should be aware of his
Mm-hmm.
right of that without his consent, the data should not gets collected by the data fiduciary. There should be a legitimate purpose. The data should be retained till the time it is required, and later it is purged. So without having this knowledge, he will simply gives the data. He will not care for his data. So this awareness is very much needed at his end as well. Secondly, if his data is is leaked,
Mm-hmm.
so he should be aware that the data fiduciaries are responsible to protect the data. Otherwise, there are penalties imposed on them.
Okay. Now, with the DPDP being released, what readiness measures should organization focus on first?
So, as I mentioned earlier, for any organization, employees are the pillars
Mm-hmm.
because they are the ones who will record this data, who will collect this data, who will copy this data, who will transfer this data, who will store, retain, and then who will have the close inspection monitoring on this data. And with the cybersecurity measures or with the best practices, we know that we can limit the access to this data, role based access or uh,
Mm-hmm.
controls based access. These kind of controls would always remain. So from the readiness perspective, employees are the pillars of the any organization.
Hmm.
They are the ones who will confront with the customer, who will uh, collect the data, who will uh, generate the data, or who will store the data, retain the data. So amongst these departments, wherever such personal data is being collected, stored, processed, or transferred, in these areas, the organizations have to identify departmental champions.
Interesting.
Yes.
Very
So
nice.
more of such champions should be created. They should be made well aware of all the doctrines of the data privacy, from the data minimization perspective to the notice perspective to the consent taking, or to uh, register the uh, to pay attention heed towards the complaints of the data principals, and how to respond to such queries. So
Okay.
these champions will get evolved over the period of time. That maturity will come, and this is how the readiness can be taken on the people front. From the tool front, the consent management platform,
Mm-hmm.
one needs to first of all understand and first of all understand that what all data needs to get collected, and then how they can integrate with the consent management platform. The act also mandates that these uh, consents should be logged and it should be verifiable.
Mm-hmm.
So that now that data protection board had released the timelines to register with the consent management platform, which should come up to the industry soon. So registering with them will give more clarity in terms of how the consent is being generated, how it is getting logged, how it is being stored. Uh, so that is on the tool front. And then the policies, the procedures, the SOPs, that also needs to get defined uh, to complete the data life cycle, right from the generation to the disclosure.
While we talk of readiness, I think we covered people, you covered process, and you covered technology, and how can that be adapted, right? But then there's always this one question which comes to my mind, and whenever I talk to leaders like you or practitioners like you know, and I would like to, I would love to understand uh, a very basic difference between when we say running a cybersecurity program inside an organization uh, versus running a data privacy program within an organization. So, what would be your take as to from a from a practitioner?
The cybersecurity program is very well established. The framework is established. The roles and responsibilities are clearly defined. For data protection, uh, it's a new process which has come, but then uh, everyone is contemplating, or the bigger guys, they already know that this, as this act was prevailing into the
Hmm.
other geographies, so they know very well that how to uh, implement or execute this process. But for the newer ones, or for those who have not looked at this process, but they know that since the law has come, now everyone has to abide the law and meet the timelines and the expectations of the regulators as well. So for them, uh, they the baby steps has already started.
Interesting. I think so. To me, what it sounds like is uh, cybersecurity is like a pipe, and the water which flows in the pipe is data privacy.
No, the integration is definitely there.
Okay.
The overlapping integration, or we can say that data protection, data privacy is the subset of the cybersecurity.
Okay. Okay. So, but it's a subset of cybersecurity, as information security uh, is largely the broader part of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity subset of information security. So, and then further down down the road, data privacy is the subset of cybersecurity. So, can this be how the relation is drawn?
See, cyber, if you closely look at both these aspects, cybersecurity never limits you to decide what data you need to collect from the customer, how much
Ah,
data you need to collect from the customer,
right, right,
and
right.
when this has to get deleted.
Hmm.
So that is where the data
Privacy.
privacy, it
Ah,
distinguish itself,
right.
because that gives more right to the data principles.
Very clear differentiation. I think we, as you said, I think interesting. Well, the ones who will give the right, who has the right, and is completely the data privacy piece, and cybersecurity has nothing to do with it. It's only going
And
to
if
be
you see,
security.
we are using data privacy and data protection, these words synonymously,
Ah,
right?
ah,
Because finally, the end result is the data needs to get protected. And the measures
okay.
which can protect the data is the cybersecurity.
Okay. Understood. Very interesting. Yeah, understood this. I think I'm sure it's a very interesting take from your side for the audiences there. When you look at third party risk, and that is kind of the extended trust chain now in a lot of organizations, and you as the head of third party risk team there, uh, what really makes a supply chain risk so complex?
So while leading the third party risk assessments in all these years, what I have experienced is first of all, you need to have a clause in your agreement that there should be a right of audit by your team at the third party end where you are giving the data. Because otherwise, you will always get a compliance ticked activity that they are good in their policies, and your data is very well taken care of. So unless your team goes and personally inspects the way it the governance is did at your organization, you will not come to know if there are any findings on the configuration part, on the equipment part, on the policy or a governance part, the periodic assessment is done or not. That those risk you will not be able to determine. So first is that. Secondly, you also need to inspect, or you have to decide the periodicity of the audit or the continuous monitoring process. Otherwise, what will happen in a normal course of a time, we happen to hear about, whenever a minister is visiting any place for inspection
Yeah,
or
like
just
like
for
a
a visit.
VIP visit.
Yeah. So then, all the people or all the roads you will find all cleaned
Clean,
and
sparkling.
yes,
You would see like, oh, but Mumbai has changed.
yes. But then after, and you will feel that you are staying in such a good this thing. Everything is perfect, right? But yes, but at the same time, the other but after he left, you find the situation is
It's back to
otherwise,
normal.
back to normal. So audits or risk assessment should not be taken in that manner by the third parties. They should
uh,
also understand the sense of responsibility, the sense of uh, the protecting the customer personal data if they are handling so, or the kind of penalties which otherwise the data fiduciaries will have to pay. So these all aspects needs to be taken into consideration by both the entities.
do you think would then an education on such things from the organization would help, like in terms of training them to help them understand the criticalities of why we are doing so? Is training a tool for them to make them aware and come into a true spirit of honoring the commitment?
See, as I mentioned, you don't have to principally only make create the awareness for your uh, own employees or departments. You have to imbibe this privacy culture right to the customers, the data principles, right to your third parties, your policies. Their policies should work in line with your policies. They should feel that they should treat your data as if it is they are handling their own data. Then
Okay, so
only
I just want to hold you there. So this is a very strong point or statement which you mentioned, that they should handle your data as if
it is their own data.
its own data. So it's very strong. Or so then let's say if that partner um, isn't compliant, so how would you enforce the accountability? Assuming you have an ex vendor, and let's say he is there with you in supplying some kind of services or something, but as of now, as we talked about, he has to understand your spirit of why you are doing data protection, and he has to take your data as his data. But there might be times where you might have come across that the vendor is non-compliant. So what is it that uh, kind of should be done here to without breaking the relationship with that vendor, where he anyway serving some business purposes for you and delivering something, you make him accountable? So we'll have to understand that.
See, my take is when you are a regulated entity and you have so much of the responsibility of data principles, or you call it as a citizens, customers, data lying with you, and when you are doing businesses with the third parties who are not compliant, or who may put you into risk, or you know, that what business value they are giving, is it worth taking to the penalty which is there for it? So I think one must take a judicious call in terms of, what is my risk appetite. Yeah, what uh, whether I should be doing business with the wrong guys, those who are not compliant, or those who cannot protect the customers, or on the other side, uh, do business with similar thinkers, those who have the sense of responsibility. I think only they can remain in this business going forward. There
Okay.
is
Okay.
no place for the defaulters. Otherwise, you will lose it on the other side.
Okay. So it's kind of a hard road for, you would say, if a partner or a vendor or a supplier of a business doesn't understand uh, the organization's policies, privacy policies, and maybe doesn't take that data which is said with him as of the data of the organization, I think can lead for him to a lot of trouble. Because anyways, as an organization, as you said, if I got it correctly from your perspective, is uh, organizations need to evaluate vendors and also make sure that they work with you in a true spirit of what your policies say, because that policies which you have developed as organization is protecting you. But then if the data goes out, you are saying is that even they should honor it, and if they are not honoring it, I think they may have a hard way out.
True,
Oh.
as you rightly mentioned, the evaluation should not be the second criteria; it should be the first criteria.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
before you onboard that particular third party into your system, first of all, you do the pre-onboarding risk assessment there. Whether he has got, adequate systems, controls, policies in line to protect your data or not. It is like you are uh, putting your child into a school. Okay. So first you go there, you understand about what are the practices in the school, how they maintain the cleanliness, what are the values which they are going to put up on your child, right? So it is, you have to treat your data as if it is your own child before giving data, your critical data. It's a personal data of the customers. So before giving your personal data to any third party, you have to do this pre onboarding exercise wherein you go there and inspect, do the pre onboarding risk assessment audit, understand what are the underlying risk, what are the inherent risk of that organizations, what is going to be the residual risk, what if, how much data is to be given. Earlier we used to decide what should be the retention timelines of the data, but now I think we should decide what are the purging measures, and
Yeah, very
how they
interesting.
are taking it.
Yeah, yeah. That this is also a very good point. I think instead of deciding on the retention, let's talk about purging. That
Purging
that
first,
purging
yes.
first, and then let's look at retention. Wow, this is very interesting. I think this can add a lot of value in terms of building policies for organization. Uh, so uh, when we talk of this in terms of accountability, supply chain, extended trust chain, and the risk which is there. Uh, do you see, I think, on a very different note, I want to again put you on a different lens out here. Uh, this is a landscape of India. Do you see India moving towards standardizing third party certificates for privacy and security?
There are already institutions who have standardized the uh, data privacy. They have started the data privacy course where they have started the certification process also into these streams. uh, However, as we evolve as I mentioned, it's at a very nascent stage. As we evolve, we get matured. Such courses will have more depth into it.
Okay, okay, very interesting. So now let's move on to the next segment here. This is something on the future side of it, the future outlook, as we say. Uh, it's going to be interesting, Jayant. Because in this segment we have AI, we have law, and we have leadership. So I think law, being a lawyer, you kind of understand it very well. Already being a practitioner, and now you are a leader, you understand very well. And we now, without talking about AI, I think none of our discussions will ever be closed. Even we having tea, we do talk of AI. Some more discussions, even in families, friends, colleagues. I think everywhere we have AI. So yes, this segment is towards AI, law, and leadership. So how do you kind of see in next 5 years, uh, AI is going to change the privacy compliance?
So, in the present context, we see that organizations have started using AI tools for customer onboarding or for automation purpose or for video KYCs or the uh, bots channels have been introduced so that the uh, customer help desk calls gets reduced. So while using these AI tools, one must uh, understand that where whatever supporting applications are there,
Mm-hmm.
where they come from. So they need to do the risk assessment of these setup as well,
Oh, okay.
because these applications, if they are taken from the cloud providers,
Uh-huh.
where these servers are located,
Hmm.
whether it supports the data localization law, whether it supports the sectoral law, wherever it is there, and then what data is going to process, whether that bot will be allowed to just respond only with the options it generates, or it also allows the customer to speak up or provide their customer data. So in that case, how they are handling that data. So the practices and policies of, if the customer data is taken, then it needs to be protected as per the law. So these all parameters are there. So while we say that today AI, one cannot or today AI tool is uh, going to be there to automate the things uh, largely, and at the same time, for from the privacy perspective, we see that the privacy is taking the baby steps now. The privacy culture is yet to get established, so it is going to take 2-3 years for the organizations to get ready with the data privacy enablement. While today the AI governance framework is being done by most of the organizations to understand their perimeters or the limits and the boundaries of how much data, what data to automate, and how much data to be fed to the AI system. But at the same, and when the privacy will be ready, the privacy framework needs to be established. But these are both these frameworks should not be studied, or it should not be made in isolation. More, I can see that more work needs to be done where the privacy or the AI, these parameters needs to be understood uh, in integration.
So moving ahead, I think the next segment is very interesting one. It's, we call it a quick fire. It's like a rapid fire, but here we call it quick fire. So in this, I think I'll ask you one word or one sentence, and I'll give you two options. You just select one. I think we are not judging you there, but that's what the game is all about. It's a quick fire round. So I think here we go. I think the very first one is DPDPA, revolution or regulation.
It's a revolution.
Biggest risk, human or hackers?
Humans who are bad hackers.
Twisted one. Good one. I like it. Uh, one law India still needs in cyber.
Misappropriation by AI law.
Data is the new.
Gold.
Oh, very nice. Interesting. I think I've been hearing oil, oil, oil. Data is a new gold. In the age of privacy, it matters. Compliance in one word.
Serious effort
See, effort by whom?
by the compliance team.
Compliance team. Okay. Yeah, interesting. If privacy had a superpower, what would it be?
It would ask the question by itself to the data collector, why you need this, for how much time do you need this, and what is the purpose. And it would have purged by itself the retention period of after the expiry of retention period.
Oh, that's a superpower with privacy. Wow, interesting. Great. So I think with that we have done with the quickfire, and we have reached to the very closing of the podcast. Before I would thank you, I have one question or maybe one ask, and I to understand from you. Uh, in one line, what does being a guardian of trust mean to you?
Being guardian of trust is like being a flag bearer of a data privacy, protecting customer or data principals' fundamental rights.
Wow, it is quite strong. I couldn't ask for a better closer than this, and all the best, and wish you all the luck. And I hope we could have you, once again on a different topic there. But for your cause, which you are promoting, and for all the work which you are doing, wish you all the best. And
Thank you. Thanks, Rohan. Thank you, everyone.
thank you for tuning into our podcast. If this episode inspired you, do share it with someone who should hear this. Do like, share, and follow our channel for more heroes like this.